You think this hurts?" he asked, and I felt my heart sink in my chest. "Just wait until after all this. I'll make you regret ever messing with Stephanie and I." With that, he let me go, and I started to follow him to the house. As soon as I was certain his back was turned, I turned and raced towards my car, my keys in hand so I could make a quick getaway. He didn't seem to notice until I started unlocking the door to my car. By the time he started racing for the car, I had already climbed in and locked the door. I was already scrambling to start the car, stressed out by the fact that he was so close and burning red in anger. Despite my attempts, I dropped the keys onto the floor and cursed as I leaned forward to pick them up. When I sat back up, I turned just in time to see Joshua start punching the window, trying to get in. A scream escaped me as the cracks started to form, and I knew this was it. Without warning, someone came running from one of the houses across the street, racing towards us. Before I could even react, the man, a towering man much bigger and older than Joshua, dressed in blue, grabbed Joshua and dragged him to the ground. Joshua let out an outraged scream. "Let go of me!" he yelled as the man pinned him to the ground. "Do you know who I am?" The man never said anything to Joshua. Instead, he turned his attention to the other man, who was racing towards the car. "You got your handcuffs?" he asked, his vaguely familiar voice a bit strained from restraining Joshua. "I left mine inside." The other man bent down beside him and snapped on the handcuffs he produced from the holster on his hip, and I realized who the men were. The one who had tackled Joshua was Sheriff Conrad Daniels, the man I had a crush on for several years. If anything, he was the main reason why I agreed to date Joshua. As much as I hated to admit it, I liked to visit Joshua's house so that I could see Sheriff Daniels come and go. As soon as they had Joshua handcuffed, both men rose to their feet, and the other officer, the one I didn't recognize, dragged Joshua towards the police cruiser across the street. Meanwhile, Sheriff Daniels rose to his feet and brushed off his uniform before turning his attention towards me. As he knocked a knuckle on the window, I felt my heart sink in my chest. "Ma'am, do you mind opening the door, please?" he asked, his voice kind, gentle, and comforting as he spoke, a gentle smile on his face. "I'd like to ask you a few questions, please." Despite the panic rising in my chest, I knew that it was better to cooperate than to hide from him. So I opened the door. "Am I under arrest, Sheriff Daniels?" I asked, fearing the worst from this situation. Much to my surprise, he shook his head at me. "Of course not," he reassured me. "I was actually going to ask if you were okay." Despite the remaining panic that threatened me, I couldn't help but smile as I nodded my head at him. "I'm okay," I said as my cheeks glowed red in embarrassment. "I guess I'm still just a bit scared. I thought he was going to break the window." Seeing the bruises that were already forming on my wrists, he nodded towards his house across the street. "Why don't you come over to my house?" he asked. "I need to take your statement, and I don't want the family trying to harass you or anything."